Michelle, I'm so excited. We are back with our Ladies' Choice live stream for Eurovision 2021. And I don't want to take up too much time. I'm just going to kick it over and introduce yourself. Let's start from below me to kick it off.
Hi, everyone. I'm Viv from ESC Extra, and I'm coming to you from a very nice, springy Oslo.
All right, I'm passing the mic again. She's back. She's back by popular demand. Go on and kick it off, Sam.
Hey, everybody. I'm Samantha Ross, coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota, here in the U.S. I'm best known as a contributor to ESC Insight, but I'm also one of the co-founders of the podcast 12 Points from America. If you haven't checked it out already, here's my shameless plug for it, 12 Points USA on Facebook and Twitter. So, hi. Thanks for having me back.
Yes, I'm so excited. So we're going to kind of frame this conversation talking about semifinal 1 and semifinal 2. The running order came out. We've had time to process and digest it. So the first question I kind of want to ask is, does the running order really matter? What do y'all think?
Such a big question. And I feel like it comes up every year. My answer is yes and no, which I know is the most waffly BS answer ever, but it's totally true. I don't think it matters in terms of numbers. I know that so many of us like to have these little superstitions of, number 2 is cursed, or there was a couple of years where it's like, oh, if you're going in the spot where Romania sang the year before, you're totally, and then when Romania sang in the same spot 2 years in a row, the curse was lifted. But I think what matters more is the placement of songs in relation to each other rather than beginning or end. If you're going to have 3 songs in the row that are similar to each other, the one in the middle is going to get lost. But if you have a contrast between songs, that tends to help raise the tide for all the boats. So that's my thought on it.
Yeah, I agree completely. I also think that it is, at least history shows that it is an advantage to be close to the end, probably because that's what people remember. But what Sam just said with, if the songs are too similar, they're going to kill each other. So building up like up-tempo songs, mid-tempo songs, ballads, female, male, the more different the songs are in the running order, the better it is for all the songs.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. My one slight disagreement would be, I think people remember what happens at the beginning and the end. It kind of doesn't matter. And I even have this philosophy, like if you're performing a song, it matters how you start off and it matters how you end the song. You could be doing some craziness in the middle. People tend to forget, if you start strong and you end strong, that's going to put you in a better position, I think. And I do think that bleeds over into Eurovision a little bit. I think opening the show is an awful thing because people have tuned in. They haven't had an opportunity to tune out. But I do think we're all in agreement when it comes to thinking about, really, it's your neighbors. I think that's the key to running order. Any general thoughts on the running order this year that you all have? Do you feel like one semi stronger than the other? Is one a little bit more WTF to you?
I feel like that kind of happens every year, where there's generally like the one semifinal where it's really kind of stacked, and then the other one, it's sort of like still strong, but a lot of the miscellaneous stuff kind of ends up in there, and it's a little bit harder to pick, oh yeah, these 10 are definitely qualifying, rather than the first semifinal, which I feel like there are 15 songs that are vying for my top 10. And again, your mileage may vary, but.
Yeah. What I noticed this year, though, is that it's very uneven with male and female singers. Because in one semi, there are actually 10 males versus 7 females. And in the other one, you only have 4 males. So not sure if that's going to be an advantage for the males in semi 1, because there are only 4 of them, especially in the second half where there's only 1 male singer.
Yep, and it's
That's a really good point.
Yeah, I think some people have been kind of floating that around too, and I think that that's also why Norway has found itself a little bit higher in the odds as well. I think that there is this thought process that he will sort of stand out in that sea of women a little bit. I think the other question I sort of wanted to ask was, okay, so if we have like the semifinals being sort of stacked and everything, and we do have this running order, would y'all prefer going back to the random draw as opposed to actually them framing out the show? What do you think about that?
I know, I think this is going to be controversial. I actually don't mind a producer-led running order as long as it is done openly and fairly and people understand the methodology behind it. You're getting a lot of people who are sort of conspiracy theorists saying, oh yeah, they're trying to sync this song or they're trying to make this song win. I haven't been behind the scenes when a full-on Eurovision selection has been kind of figured out, but I've been behind the scenes for 2 Junior Eurovision running order selections. That's not part of the conversation. It's all about what sounds good one next to another. If there are props that you have to worry about, the logistics with that. You don't want 2 songs that are colored blue next to each other. You kind of want to have some diversity in that. It's a lot more technical and a lot less, oh, we think this is going to win, so we're going to be all strategic about it.
I think regarding what you said about 2 songs in the color blue next to each other, we've had a few years where that's been quite difficult to avoid.
That's true. You work with what you got, though.
And I'm also thinking what you said about Tix standing out. I think he would have stood out even more if he came towards the end of the semi or his half, because now he kind of opens the second half. And then you have loads of women after him. If it had been the other way around, I think it would have been more of an advantage.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment real quick just to say hi. Thank you, folks, for joining us. I want to say, hey, Alexandros. Hey, Dunas. We got folks from Ireland. I saw some folks from Malta. Thank you so much for joining. We are live right now, and we're talking about the semifinals. We haven't got to talk about the actual acts yet, and I don't want to necessarily deviate from this conversation about possibly going back to the random draw or taking the producer lens. Look, I don't mind having the producers choose the running order, but I gotta say, when I look at like a semifinal, like semifinal 2 this year, it makes me go like, okay, I'm not really seeing the logic behind this. I don't know why we have certain songs sandwiched next to each other in semifinal 2. To me, semifinal 2, like semifinal 1, I sort of understand where they were coming from. I can kind of see the flow. In semifinal 2, I'm just like, okay, what was the flow here? I mean, when we're opening up the second half of semifinal 2, there were plenty of songs I felt that we could have had a nice yo-yo effect where we would bounce off each other and keep viewers engaged. And instead, I feel like they decided to do these like sandwich vibe sections. But we'll get into that, I guess, a little bit down. Sam, did you want to hop in on that?
No, I mean, I that's where a lot of the technical stuff kind of comes in. I feel like there are things that we don't know yet. Like there's going to be some big prop that they're kind of have to kind of play around with, or there's some sort of visual aspect. I'm also not exactly sure where the commercials are going to go in. So there's also that I mean, Jack in the comments here has just said that Elena from Cyprus said that she's going to perform after the commercial break. I wasn't sure when those were going to be, but that's also something to keep in mind. So there's a lot of info that we don't have yet.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I think some folks even on the second half of semifinal 1, I think that there is a break in there that we don't see necessarily looking at the way that they framed it. But that's a perfect segue into us talking about semifinal 1. I'm gonna throw up our screen and we will be looking at semifinal 1. Okay, so just off first view, any countries that y'all are feeling really good about when it comes to looking at this running order?
Lithuania.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think it's a perfect start to this semi. It's just gonna grab everyone's attention, and I don't think we could have had a better opener out of this lot.
Oh yeah, I mean, as just a breath of fresh air to open up the first contest that we've had in 2 years, a show that people have been aching for. I mean, I know I have. I can't speak for you two, but I mean, I know I have. I feel like Discotheque is just the perfect breath of brightness and joy and unabashed fun to just welcome people back to the contest. I think it's a perfect opener too.
Yeah, I'm loving Lithuania opening up. I'm loving Malta closing out semifinal one. I'm feeling really good about this. So let's just kind of go through and share our thoughts on each entry from semifinal one. So y'all know I'm loving Lithuania, so I feel like I don't have to like reiterate that, but what do you guys think?
Love. Joy, fun, silly. It's not the most vocally arresting. But it's not supposed to be. It's all about the spirit and the joy in that one, and it's infectious. It scratches a slightly different itch than their song last year, and I think most viewers when they're tuning in aren't going to be comparing last year and this year.
Correct.
So I've said my piece. I think it's a great opener and a great song.
Yeah,
I agree with well, as I said, it's a great opener. It's not among my favorites, but I prefer this one to their entry last year. It's very danceable, and it's just a bit of silly fun, and it's excellent.
Yeah, I feel like kicking off the semi, literally telling viewers at home, it's okay to discotheque in your home. It's okay to dance alone. I think is absolutely the message that we kind of want to send out there. And it really is setting the tone, I think, for the rest of the show. All right, we're following it up with Slovenia, which, you know, everyone says number 2 is the death slot. I've said my piece on it. Ultimately, I don't necessarily want Slovenia in my final. I stand by that. I stand by that, but I do think that it will be well sung. I do think it'll keep people awake. So yeah, what do y'all think about Slovenia?
I like her. I like Anna a lot. As somebody who when I was in my choir days, I was a pretty low alto. And just to see somebody else at Eurovision with that deep range, I'm really, really happy to see it. I like her a lot. I don't feel like this is the right vehicle for her. Especially because Slovenia was teasing that they'd be sending a banger, an upbeat song this year, and they just aren't. I'm like, oh, dang. But I guess my Slovenia will win coffee mug that I have in storage will have to be in storage for another year. I hate to say, but I like her.
I agree completely. She's an excellent singer. And they could have done so much better for her than this. It's probably one of those songs that wouldn't have stood out no matter where you put it. So why not put it in slot number 2?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say I have no issue with Slovenia being where it is. I think that is the place that it probably should be. And I mean, somebody has to be in position too. But let's move on to Russia. And there's been a lot of talk about Russia maybe not making it through. I really want to see my girl Manitsa in the final. I just really do. I want to see her there. What do y'all think?
Love her. This is the most positive that I've been about a Russian entry in years. And I like Little Big a lot. But Manizha brings something so honest and real and vital to the contest, and something so different from what we've seen from Russia over the past few years. It is gutsy, and the way that she has handled herself through the firestorm of controversy that you're seeing within Russia has been so strong and dignified. And am I allowed to say badass? She's badass. That's all I want to say. And I think that the contest would be enriched by having her in the final.
Absolutely.
Yeah, completely agree. It's a great song. She is badass, and she is exactly what we need. I think I prefer this so much to last year's entry. I think I was probably one of the very, very few who didn't like that. But this one is, it's great.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it. I want to see it. And next up, we have Sweden. It's To Say with Voices. I've already said enough on this entry, so I'm just going to pass the mic actually to you, Wiv. So what do you think of Voices?
I don't actually know what I think of Voices. I think he's a very good singer. He's a great. He seems like a very fun person. He owns the stage up there. I'm just not sure what I feel about the song. I have it like mid-table, probably just in my top 10. It is going to stand out. It's a song that we don't have too many. We don't have many songs in the same genre. So I'm thinking. I really don't know.
I feel like, to me, it is your standard run-of-the-mill message song. And in a way, I feel like at least Slovenia is doing it in a way that makes me kind of like, oh, I'm not really expecting this. With her thick, rich vocal and everything, I feel like it would keep me a little bit in tune. Whereas with Sweden's, I think as a Eurovision viewer, I have legitimately seen and heard this song before, with Sweden.
Yeah, I think
it is very Swedish.
Yes.
Yeah. So PVC, okay, sorry. Sweden is very approachable, and a lot of people will recognize it and vote for it. I don't foresee it being left out in the semis. And I do agree with that. I do think that there is a familiarity and a safeness that won't be a safeness that will be penalized. It's a safeness that will feel comfortable for a lot of folks. All right, let's move on to Australia. Okay. We had talked about Australia in our last live stream. So Viv, I'm curious your thoughts. And then Sam, I'll pivot to you.
I love her. I love this song. I loved her entry last year. I'm just a fan. She's amazing. She's a bit crazy, and I enjoy that. I think she's possibly my favorite in the semi.
Okay. Oh, yep. Yeah. I love to hear that, because I am loving Technicolor, and I think we might be getting a music video, because I do feel like this song needs the music video a little bit. But again, I'm really thinking that this is going to make an impact on the stage. There is nothing that sounds like it. And I do actually think it is in a great position. I know some people are worried about it qualifying. I'm not quite. I think I'm not going to allow the worry to block me from the fact that I really just feel like, given track record, given quality, and the way that I feel like it will be delivered live. Mm-hmm. And some people want to talk about like, oh, well, that other performance, that is not the performance that she's going to be giving on the Eurovision stage.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And I just feel like what's going to happen on the stage is going to be impactful ultimately. Sam, how are you feeling about it?
I think that, looking at I know you just said don't look at past performances, but what I'm about to say is like, she has gotten better. Like, I just heard another recent live performance. I was worried about her vocals the first time I heard her live. It's gotten stronger. And obviously she's got another month or so to practice, to hone, to refine. I'm not as worried about her vocals live as I was originally. I think looking at the running order, just in terms of that, the fact that she is sandwiched in between Sweden, which is, mid-tempo, very, very polished, very slick, very smooth, and North Macedonia, which is very dramatic, very sort of lower tempo, very show, very, very musical. She's going to stand out a country mile and be so different from what's immediately before and immediately after. And that's what I was talking about before with this, this contrast. So yeah, I'm a bit more optimistic about her qualification chances now.
Yeah. So let's move on to North Macedonia. This song is very theatrical. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a huge fan of the theater songs on the Eurovision stage. I know that I'm probably in the minority when it comes to that. And I think it's just because I spent so many years doing musical theater that I actually don't watch it anymore. And I don't listen to any of the albums anymore. So I think I'm in the minority there, but I'm not going to lie. I don't think that North Macedonia is going to be qualifying, but I do think that Basil's voice is beautiful. I think it will be staged very well. And although I don't think that it will advance, I don't think that this is going to be a bad performance by any means. So I'm happy to see just the quality. And let's be real. Semifinal 1 is our semifinal of death. I think that this semi is extremely competitive. I think that there is going to be a ton of quality on the stage. So when people get upset, sort of like, how can you say that this won't qualify? we only have 10 slots. You know, we really only have 10 slots. And I'm going to be real. I'm really hoping that some of these countries come back in the next couple of years so that we can get the 3 semis that we need for Eurovision. Okay. But
Pandora, we're calling.
Hello, come on. So yeah, what do y'all think?
I would love to see a 3rd semi. I'm not sure if my pocketbook can handle the extra time on the ground in a host country, but you know, for me, the more Eurovision, the better. No, I'm in a similar boat with you with Vasil. I love him. I interviewed him, or I should say, we interviewed him for a live chat that we did on our website for 12 Points from America, and he is so deeply rooted in what he does. He has such a sense of honesty and conviction, and it's come through a lifetime of training. He's been training in theater and in voice for decades at this point. I've never met a Eurovision artist as deeply rooted in his craft, and I respect that, and I respect him so much. I'm not sure how voters are going to respond to the song when they only have 3 minutes. And it's beautiful, it builds, but there's not really a pop hook that people tend to respond to like you see at Eurovision. But I love him. And like, if he is doing a concert tour or like in a production of whatever, wherever, I would fly around the world to see him. And he deserves all the best. I'm just not sure if we're going to see him on the Saturday night.
I'm quite sure that we're not going to see him on the Saturday night. Unfortunately, because of him, but I think the song's just not strong enough. He is so much better than this song, and he has this presence that I think deserves a more, I don't know, heartfelt song. It seems too polished. It seems too kind of shallow, even though it's not. It's just how it comes across.
No,
which is weird.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it's a self-composed song. It's not like somebody wrote the song for him. I think he took the raw emotion and just he sweetened it. Mm-hmm. He overpolished it. Mm-hmm. Or it was sweetened. It was overpolished. I'm not sure. You mean?
Yeah. I think you're right with that rawness. Now let's move on to Ireland. I don't want to take a ton of time on this. So, I've got 2 songs that I think I would have very raw reactions to if I didn't see them advance. If Ireland doesn't advance, I will probably shed a tear.
Same.
What do y'all think?
Same. Love this. Love her. This, it's so uplifting, and in a way that is still very, very real and natural. And it's mature pop. It's
very adult. It's very adult, and which I appreciate.
Yeah, it's oftentimes Eurovision has a sort of image of being, you know, a lot of much younger pop. Like I'm thinking, you know, my brain goes to Greece, my brain goes to Malta. You know, these very younger artists, and I'm looking at an artist who is more mature and developed in her career, who's pretty close to my age within a few years. And I'm like, yes, us badass ladies in our mid-30s can also go out there and compete and kick ass, and we're not too old. And you're not too old in your 40s or 50s or whatever you are. Like, there's always your moment. Grab it, and it's there. And I'm rambling. I'm ranting. Somebody else speak. So
yeah. I agree with a lot of what you guys are saying, but the vocals. I mean, the few live clips we've heard, the vocals just aren't where they should be. I mean, I like the song. I like her. It's just that I don't know if it's just the song that's wrong for her voice or what it is, but I think the vocals are absolutely going to decide the fate of this song. If she can pull it off vocally, I think the song in itself is strong enough to qualify. And she is, from what I've seen, a good performer. But I think the vocals are going to decide this.
Yeah, no, I think that you're right. I think we'll see. I think it's also a pairing of the vocal and thoughtful staging. They really need to tell that story and allow the emotion to come through in it. And actually, I think Ireland can do that. So we'll see. Moving along to Cyprus, which may or may not be after a commercial break. So Ireland might be closing out, and then we might have a break and then moving on to Cyprus. I just interviewed Elena. This song is going to advance. I don't even know if we have to spend a ton of time talking about Cyprus's chances because it's going to advance.
Yeah, Cyprus continues to Cyprus. Yeah.
It's definitely going to qualify. I think that it would probably be best for everyone if I didn't say any more than that about the Cypriot entry. It's very much not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I mean, and I think no matter how you feel about it, I just feel like it is going to advance.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it would need for her to have laryngitis and a sprained ankle for it not to.
Yep, just about.
Yeah.
Just about. And honestly, if it was a sprained ankle, they could just hoist her up in the middle of the stage and spin her around in a circle. Okay.
I think she would sail through anyway.
Yeah. So
even on crutches.
Yeah. So let's go on to our next entry, Norway. And I'm gonna give it over to you. So Norway currently is qualifying and is in, I think, the top 10 for the betting odds, if not in the top 10 for the betting odds, close to it in the top 15. Y'all know I don't want this to advance, but.
And I think it's 4th or 5th on Spotify.
Is that from a Norwegian domestic? But how much of that is a Norwegian domestic listening audience?
No, it's not. I read this on some international page. So they've obviously taken from many countries and done an average or something. And of this year's Eurovision songs, Norway is the 5th most streamed in the last week, which surprises me a lot. I don't know if this is. I don't know if we're going to qualify. I don't know if I think we should. It was definitely not the best song we had in our national final. And everyone disagrees with me when I say which one was the best we had, which was Witchwoods.
That I will disagree with you on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I know, everyone does.
Love what you love, but...
I am delighted beyond words that we did not send Kano again. I think we would have had a much bigger chance of winning or doing well if we did. I just think they kind of had their chance. And I think a lot, when it comes to ticks, I think a lot depends on what the commentators are going to say. I think if they focus on like he's called tics, it's because he's got Tourette's, it's because he has a long history of bullying. This song is about him finally coming out and being himself and standing up for who he is. Which was a lot clearer in the Norwegian lyrics, by the way. They basically or literally translated to "out from the darkness." So the lyrics in Norwegian and English are very different. No, again, I'm very unsure on this. He's a great guy. He deserves this so much. And I think the song is very sing-along friendly. It's got this hook in the chorus.
It's
the
catchy.
Chorus.
Yeah, and it's familiar. It does sound like something. And I think I said this before. I was like, he delivers it well. There won't be any bum notes or anything like that. But like he should be delivering this well because vocally it's not challenging, but my challenge with this is I feel like it would be stealing somebody else's spot. And that I think is my issue with the song ultimately.
Yeah, I feel like his story is interesting and important. The staging is going to be eye-catching, but the song itself, I liked it better when it was Hoobastank's The Reason. And That's whenever I hear the chorus, that's the only, my brain doesn't remember ticks. I remember the song that I liked when I was a junior in high school. And
I found a reason for me.
Am I
Yes.
wrong?
Ooh. No, you're not wrong at all. And let's move on in the running order. Next up, we have Croatia. I actually think, so if people are talking about nostalgic songs, sort of that early 2000s nostalgic song that makes it through, I actually think Croatia is a little bit more of the latch on moment. And I think Albina really sells it on the stage. But I do think we're going to lose a bop. We're going to lose a bop. And for me, I said this in my review, I guess I'd be willing to let Croatia go. But I don't necessarily think that we will. I would not be surprised if Croatia sort of pulls a Belarus 2019 Zena moment and qualifies. What do y'all think?
I think the fact that this is sandwiched between Norway and Belgium will elevate its chances a bit more. I really do like the song a lot. It's because of that, I think it's on a bit more of an even playing field with some of the other bops. Not to say that this is any worse. I'm just saying that some of the other female-led high-intensity bops have a bit more momentum behind them, I guess you could say. But the fact that this is sandwiched between two lower key, lower energy entries, this is going to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that it's also very catchy. It's up tempo. If you don't like the Norwegian song, if you find that sort of too flat, too maybe not, I don't know, it's not a party song. And then TikTok comes after it. I think it's going to make people sort of look up, take notice, and think, this is good. Or at least this is fun.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's catchy. I think that there's a lot of support for it, but I wonder if the hype around it, I wonder if there is a bubble hype that we're getting here as opposed to like something that the masses will like. I actually think masses could latch onto it, and I think she sells it. That's the thing. And I think that was the thing about Zena is on stage, once I saw it live, I was like, oh, this feels different. It definitely feels different. All right, next up we have Belgium. Belgium, I want to see them advance.
Same.
I'll just leave it at that for me.
Yeah. Sorry, good.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think they will.
Great. Yeah, Sam?
I love it. I worry that it's too low-key and that their name recognition isn't going to be strong enough to carry them through. I love this song. It's in my personal top grouping of songs, but it's low-key. It's chill. I'm really, really interested to see how they're going to stage this, because if they bring in that sort of slightly creepy vibe that we got from the music video, that could fly high or that could fall flat. Just ask Esther Peony. And it has to be done well. It has to be done impactfully.
And we do know that Belgium isn't always the best at staging.
But I feel like Belgium is very hit or miss, but I have a feeling that if out of any act, this is going to be the year where the artist is going to be in the driver's seat of how they present themselves. I don't think that Hooverphonic would allow anybody to tell them what to do. Alex in particular.
Absolutely not. Yeah, I think that they're going to put their foot down, and I think what we see on stage is going to be what they want.
Yes.
And I just hope that that's straightforward, to the point, and good quality. Okay, next up we have Israel, who did do a revamp. I was feeling very uneasy about Israel. I feel much better about them now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What do y'all think?
It was already catchy and it was already fun to begin with, but it just amped it up a little bit. And if she hits that whistle tone live, holy crap. I mean, not only will windows shatter across Europe, but I mean, I think I read somewhere that if she hits that live, it will break the record for Eurovision's highest note ever.
Yes.
So, yeah. And I think she's also a smart enough artist to know that if she's not feeling it, she'll know how to pull back.
Yeah.
So I like this a lot. A lot.
I also like it a lot. I don't think she does. I don't remember where I heard, but apparently this was her least favorite song, and she was really upset when that's the one that was chosen. So the reason behind the revamp apparently is that they're they tried to make it more her.
Well, that worked for Hovey Star, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if she can pull it off live, and if she can manage to sort of hide the fact that it's not her favorite song, I think it's going to sail through. It's.
I think the juries are going to help this a ton, and I don't think that it's not immediate enough for televoters to kind of get behind it. Let's move on to Romania. I have always thought that Romania was going to get through. I think that it is sort of the ballad in this semi that might actually be able to advance. But how are y'all feeling about Romania?
Just looking at what it's sandwiched between, it's going to need to be pretty impactful, I think, considering that if the last thing that we hear from Israel is that high note, and if she hits it, then people are going to be talking about that. I love the Romanian song, but right after it, it's going to be Azerbaijan, which we know that they can throw a kitchen sink at staging.
Yeah, but homegirl can't dance. So, I mean, if they can do some nice tight camera angles on it, it's fine. I mean, she can sing, which is the basic, but this is a song that she needs to be selling, and Albina's going to be selling it.
True.
Eden is going to be selling it. Obviously, Elena's going to be selling it, and Destiny's going to be selling it. And I'm going to need Effendi to either stand in place and let them dance around her, or figure something else out, because Boo Boo cannot dance. She can't dance.
Put somebody in a horse head on a ladder and let the eyes go there. But anyway, we're talking about Romania. But this is the problem. Like it's already being overshadowed. I love the Romanian song. I love the build up in the chorus, but it's also very chill. And I think quality wise, as an audio track, it absolutely deserves to be there. Yeah. But in practice, I worry about it being overshadowed.
I agree with you. And I hate that I agree with you, because this is another one of my favorites in this semi. I loved her entry last year, even more than I do this one. I think this is possibly the most, contemporary of this year's, or the entries in the semi. When you listen to it on the radio, it wouldn't feel out of place.
I agree. Yeah. I definitely agree with that.
Absolutely.
So it's radio friendly. It's something people can relate to. It's very not Eurovision.
Yeah,
it's a departure.
Which a lot of the normal people watching are going to be able to relate to, maybe more than to the Eurovision bops.
Yeah.
It has a very important message. So if that comes across in a good way, I can hear myself now trying to talk it up into qualifying, but I think you're right, Sam. I think it might drown.
I feel better about it, but so I said my thoughts on Azerbaijan. I mean, look, I think Azerbaijan is likely to qualify, but again, I do think we're going to lose a bop. And I think the bops that are borderline probably are about Croatia and Azerbaijan. I prefer actually Croatia's song to Azerbaijan's song. I mean, yeah, what do you think? Do you think Azerbaijan is qualifying?
No.
Oh,
okay. No, I mean, it depends. As you said, it depends on the staging. Yeah. She's very awkward on stage. Also, her vocals are questionable, but I guess they will do what they have normally done before and rent a Swede to do the backing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that with all these other female up-tempo songs, I think this is the one that probably is gonna look not as good as the rest. I think Cyprus is sailing through, as we talked about.
Yeah.
Croatia is way better, also vocally.
vocally and visually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we haven't quite gotten to Malta yet, but it's also there.
Yeah.
So I think Azerbaijan might just be left in the semi.
I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate that. All
And
right.
also, it's the same song they sent last year. I think they could have tried to come up with a new song.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I didn't even like Cleopatra, and this one I like even less. But let's move on to Ukraine. So I said Ireland will be the song. If it doesn't qualify, I will cry. Ukraine not qualifying, I will be mad.
Same.
This is on a loop for me. On a loop for me.
Love, 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 love. I mean, I love Solovey. I like the original version of Shum, and I'm very, very happy. I know that for some people, they're so attached to the original version of Shum that they're not necessarily getting into this version. Most people watching the show aren't going to care. They're just going to see this 3 minutes of ethno-bop craziness.
It's going to be amazing.
It's if it's done well, it's going to have people. If there are people in the audience, they're going to be dancing their butts off. Or they're going to be completely confused. I have no idea, but I want this to qualify so badly.
And some of us might just mute it because we just cannot stand the voices.
Yeah, I mean, it's that style of vocals. People are going to love or hate.
I love the ethno. I love that they're using their culture. I love the idea behind it. But it's like someone scratching my eardrums. I just cannot stand the voices. I'm sorry.
I compare this to only like 3 songs, arguably, in Eurovision history. We had Voda and Summer Championi from Elitsa and Stoyan, one of which did incredibly well for Bulgaria. The other one failed to qualify.
Yeah.
And Palishe from Poland, which looking at the numbers could have qualified if somebody had sneezed differently, basically.
Right.
And I put this in that same kind of category. This could do super well. It could crash out. It could be right. Like, I have no idea how people are going to respond.
I think this is probably the one that's hardest to predict.
Yeah.
I mean, it could do a Voda, which, it absolutely could. Yeah. But it could also not qualify. So, and I mean, being between Azerbaijan, which might end up not being very pleasant when it comes to the vocals, this might actually sound like, oh, these guys can sing, coming after Azerbaijan. But then again, Malta with Destiny's Voice coming right after might feel like, I don't know.
I think that they're so different. And let's move on to Malta. Malta closing out the show is absolutely where it needs to be. I feel like Malta should win.
I'd be okay with that.
I'd be completely fine with it. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I'm with you. Since the first time I heard her at Junior, I'm like, this young woman could take the whole damn thing. Yep. And she was a force back in Bulgaria. And just to see her go from strength to strength and grow and develop as an artist, like it's almost shocking to me to realize that she's only 19 at this point, 18, 19? No, not even. She's probably 18 at this point, right?
19.
19.
Something 19. Like she's not even 20 yet. That's all I'm saying. She's a wee bairn. She's, and it's mind-boggling to me how that voice can come out of somebody that young. But she sounds so seasoned and has such a good head on her shoulders and has a song that is
18.
She's 18. Yeah, because she would have had to be at least 16. Her
birthday's in August.
Okay, so she would have had to be at least 16 to be Michaela's backer.
Yeah.
So to have a song that blends powerful vocals, youth and fun, and a great message, that's...
And that confidence.
I mean, Malta.
I don't know where she'd be
so good. And it's going to be so good.
And isn't Sasha, or the Baptiste group doing the staging? Or the Jean-Baptiste group doing the staging?
Yes.
That's
It's going to be amazing, y'all.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I've
gonna be
been thinking
amazing.
exactly the same as you, Sam, since the first time we heard her. It's like, just wait until she gets into actual Eurovision. And I'm so happy. I think this is the first time I'm going to say this, and probably the last. I'm so happy that last year was cancelled so that she came with this song instead of that.
I liked All of My Love, but it was
I
very
did.
different.
I didn't.
I
But
liked
this
All of My
one, I
Love.
really do.
Yeah, no, this song is great. Now, I have to say, so I didn't want to take up all of our time, and I don't want this to be super long. And we basically only talked about semifinal 1. So I'm gonna ask, and I want to get into the comments. So if you have questions and you want us to touch on stuff, we've got 10 minutes for sort of Q&A, and we'll talk about anything. So drop it in the comments. But I have to have y'all back. We got to talk about and
Absolutely.
break down semifinal 2. So
Absolutely.
don't worry, y'all. We are going to talk about semifinal 2 the next time. So I'm going to change the description so that people know that this is just us talking about semifinal 1. But if y'all have a question or you want to hear us talk about a country right now, this is the 10-minute mark. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who is tuning into this live stream. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, like this video. I only talk about Eurovision. And honestly, I started my channel years ago just because I wanted to talk to people, and I'm so glad that technology has brought us all together and definitely connected me to both Viv and Sam. It is so nice to see y'all's faces and talk to y'all, especially because I won't be able to see y'all in Rotterdam this year, but maybe we will have next year. All right, so if y'all have questions in the chat, okay, I see a question here. Which song will have the biggest division between jury and televote?
Ooh,
what do y'all
that's a good one. I mean, are we talking about just the semifinal or just in general?
Let's maybe focus it on the semi. So yeah,
Okay.
in semi, and maybe let's say semifinal 1 or 2. Who do you think will have the biggest? What the biggest discrepancy will be?
Ooh, could be Lithuania. I mean, just
think the jury might give them some love, though. I have a feeling that the juries might actually show Lithuania some love because it's very talking heads, you know, kind of like creative folks. And I think, you know, the juries aren't just music professionals, they are TV folks. So the staging, I think, will be impactful and the visual will be strong. So I see Lithuania getting some love. I'm throwing up here, Archer, where do we think the biggest discrepancy will be? I could see maybe like a Croatia,
Sweden.
Could
Croatia or Sweden. I think Croatia might have more televote love than jury love, but I think Sweden is going to have more jury love, televote love. What do y'all? What do y'all think?
That looking at Sweden's performances in the past, that tends to happen a lot, at least on the final level. So I could see that trend continuing because honestly, musically the trend is continuing in Sweden for just very polished, positive pop. So why not the voting result?
Yeah, let's talk about this question from Gabriel. Okay, do you think Georgia has a chance of qualifying? I do think they might fight with Portugal and Albania for 10th. No.
No.
Deeply no.
I don't remember.
I have to admit that last year, if I tried really, really, really hard not to hear the lyrics, I actually liked the Georgian song last year.
Same.
Yeah.
No, last year was great. Yeah.
I was hoping he would come back with something like same style as that, with a slightly less ridiculous lyrics.
Yeah. I mean, like,
and then we got this.
Yeah. I mean, looking at his song from last year and his song from the national finals a couple years ago, "You Are My Sunshine," which is, you know, crazy.
Yep.
And talk about simple lyrics.
I
was hoping for something crazy, and it was just I could meditate to this. I could bliss out with a cup of tea and a little lit candle and zone out at the end of a hard work day to Georgia's song, but that doesn't make a good Eurovision result.
No, I'm not sure I would even use it for that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right, so our next question is, who do you think will be last in semifinal 1? That's our next question from, Sergey. Who do you think will be last in semifinal 1? I'm going to throw it back up here. I'm not going to lie. I think North Macedonia is probably going to be last.
It breaks my heart, but unless his staging is something truly spectacular. Like, honestly, nobody thought much of Proud until we saw it. Did we? I didn't really.
Oh, I
don't
did.
know.
I loved it from the first time I heard it.
I thought that it did because it was very in the moment, you know.
That's fair.
And so and my only fear with it was actually televote more so than jury. So I think North Macedonia probably is.
I also think North Macedonia, and depending on the vocals, if the vocals go all wrong, Ireland. Sorry.
Oh no, that would kill me.
I know, but I mean, if the vocals are,
honestly, if the vocals go completely, ass over tea kettle, I worry about Australia. If people don't respond to it, if it's too chaotic, if she doesn't edit herself, if we see the clown makeup in the rough, which she won't do, of course not.
No. She's not doing that for this one.
Of course not. But I worry sometimes about her editing, and that
right, because she is so creative.
She's so creative. She has so many ideas that I take the Coco Chanel line of, before you leave the house, you take off one accessory. Yeah, and I worry about her anti-Coco Chaneling it.
No, I think that's fair.
Team.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the other thing I wanted to just touch on, because I would say last live stream, we didn't talk about Iceland or Serbia. So before we close out, what are y'all thinking about Iceland?
I love it.
I love it. I like this better than Think About Things, honestly. And I know I'm in the minority with that. I do sonically, I prefer listening to 10 years more than Think About Things. To me, Think About Things was very like when visual meets song meets moment and everything sort of packaged together. But if I'm just going off of like the song itself and just listening to it, I prefer 10 years to Think About Things. But what do y'all think?
I think that this is him going back to who he is. This is a lot more daddy than Think About Things was. If you listen to just about everything else that he's done, which I've done ever since 2017.
Oh yeah.
This is much more. This is much more him. I think that Think About Things is probably more. It's easier to listen to. It's easier to get kind of sucked into. But I think I agree with you. I prefer this to Think About Things.
It's hard for me to kind of pick one or the other. Like that depends on my mood. To me, but they're evenly matched enough, and they're so in the same, Dadiverse.
Yeah,
that
they're on the same album.
Yeah, like it's the same. It's the last part of the trilogy that we had with, Is This Love, or Vametad? Is that the? I know Viv, to Think About Things to 10 years. It's just the trilogy of meeting his love awkwardly at a party, which as an awkward introvert, like I totally love and get, to birth the first child, to this is the last 10 years of our lives together. And it's so beautiful. And just my little Icelandic loving heart melts.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure we touched on Iceland, and then let's touch on Serbia and close out with Serbia. I have always thought that Serbia was going to qualify. Now, on our last live stream, I think Lisa Jane actually thinks that Serbia might not qualify. I think that it is. Okay, yeah. What do you think about Serbia?
I agree with Lisa. I think it might not qualify. I don't know if I think it might not qualify or if I just hope it won't. Sorry to all the hurricane lovers out there, but this is my last place this year. I can't find anything of the whole competition.
Sub Georgia,
including Georgia.
Mira.
It's like I'm like a porcupine with all the spikes out. This one takes off. It just takes something in me that is not pretty. And I loved them back in 16.
Oh, Well, yeah,
and I'm thinking, how can this be the same person who did that doing this? So I'm really sorry to everyone who loves this song, but
Hearts are breaking all
Yeah,
over.
I
seriously.
know.
But I think the girl, this is my thinking. I feel like the girl group energy, the hurricane, what? Ooh, I just feel like no one's really giving us that girl group energy and that vibe. I do feel like Serbia is going to make it through. And I finally got the studio, like the full stereo version. So I wasn't really into it at first because on my playlist, it was like some Bobo recording of it that wasn't in stereo and it was awful. And so I was just like, skip. Like, I can't even get into it. Now I actually have the full stereo version. And I mean, the weather is getting warm and I'm just having my moment. Loco. I can get into it. And honestly, I prefer this to last year. I think they're both assault of sound types of, so I mean, it's a lot of sound and it's going to be a lot on stage, but I like that energy with what they're serving. To me, it matches, and that's where I'm at.
And I do think that it's going to stand out in this semi. If it had been semi 1, it would have drowned.
Exactly.
But in semi 2, it's going to stand out because semi 2 is very male heavy.
But there are a handful of songs in semi 2 that I think are kind of going up head to head with the sort of, I'm not doing this in the sense of Australia, but Technicolor, hyper, crazy pop. Like you have them in the same semifinal as San Marino, as Moldova, as Latvia. And
I love Latvia. Can we talk about Latvia instead?
Must we?
Well, next time we are going to get together and we are going to finish this conversation and we are going to talk about semifinal 2. Thank y'all so much for joining me. And thank you to everyone who watched. This was such a great conversation and we definitely have to do it again.
Yes. Anytime.
All right. Thank y'all. Bye.
Bye.